Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest creates and share moments that matters. J.L. Palmer believes that moment makes memories, and that one of the best overlooked skills in our world today is the quality of our conversation and the power of genuine curiosity. After years as a podcast host, producer, and visibility strategist, JL noticed something many of us are beginning to feel, which is more content doesn't necessarily create more connection. Instead, JL helps founders, creators, and hosts move beyond surface level interactions and create conversations that people remember long after the episode ends. Through curiosity, community, and authentic connection, JL is building spaces where relationship matters more than algorithm and where conversations become catalyst for growth. JL, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Connie, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. So yes, can you take us back to your younger years, basically? What experience shaped the way you think about, connection and conversation?
Oh, younger years. It's just when you're younger, you don't really understand necessarily the relationships that you're having or the communication that is or is not happening. And I just have an overarching feeling from when I was younger that life was hard and life was rushed and there was lots of struggle and there maybe wasn't the bandwidth to spend time and truly engage and listen and connect. So I think I grew up with that feeling like, well, that's how we do life. And I've come to learn after, being a parent myself and having some life challenges that we miss a lot when we are so deep in the struggle or so deep in the challenge and so busy that those moments we never get back. And we could have done so much to create something more memorable from them. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does actually. Wow. Okay. So, I'm curious, right? You could, just sit with your, let's say, 25-year-old self, actually. What advice would you have given them?
Spend more time getting to know your family, your friends, uh, give more thought to what you're feeling instead of worrying about being and doing and judgments and success.
Mm,
I really wish that, not that I would go back and change anything because I'm not the human being I am right now if I change anything from the past. But
mm,
when I grew up, I was busy working as a teenager. So I didn't spend a lot of time with kids at school or with sports or those things that I, as a parent, saw children doing. And when I look back, I just see the benefits in friend groups and the benefits in the challenges, understanding peer pressure and the growth that comes from being in band and playing music and playing a sport and actually spending time with yourself as you're becoming, again, at your adolescence, and saying, I like this and I don't like this, and pursuing what it is that I like, or sitting with the fact that you don't like something and it may be temporary and part of moving through something else. So I did not have that understanding, nor did I really develop an identity where I thought I had choices in what I was doing or how I was doing it. It was just getting through. So going back to 25, I really didn't have a good sense of myself. I really didn't have a great, I was okay with everything, but there wasn't anything huge saying, I'm really passionate about this, or I would really like to. The one thing that I dabbled in, I never really got deep into any one thing. The one thing I really dabbled in was painting. But I didn't ever pursue it on a very strong level. And I do believe if I were to look back through how I'd grown up and where I was at, like you say, 25, I would have pursued it more back then. I would have developed more of the creative side. And I think the creative side being developed would have helped me more through many of the challenges in life. Or pursuing any, whether it's painting, whatever it is, pursuing something that you like and has your interest and actually being curious about it and getting into that curiosity, I do believe helps us as adults with part of our coping, our managing depression, anxiety, and various different things. It adds to your quality of life because you're actually doing things you enjoy.
Mm. Wow. All right. So first of all, I would say thank you for, sharing your story with us and also giving us this beautiful insight. Because personally, I think that is something that I will take away from, right? I'll take that advice because a lot of young people today, they live for tomorrow. I don't know how to say, but we are all so engrossed in what the future holds. We all just want to be successful. We are all working so hard,
Mhm.
ignoring the now, right? There's this
Yeah.
pressure to, become something later in life. I wouldn't say that is bad, but we've all ignored now. We've ignored the moment and we are living for tomorrow. So I love that because now one can take a step back and actually just breathe in and just enjoy the moment also. Because in as much as we are all living for tomorrow, we need to, bask in the moment of now. We need to enjoy now and be happy because that is what matters actually. So
Yeah.
that would be my, yeah, that would be my key takeaway from, what you've said so far. And
Well, you
I want to
yeah,
right,
kind of you see it because it's all over the place. I mean, the
right,
20 somethings now grew up with influencers and YouTubers and all of these people who
yeah,
were doing so well and or appeared to be. And it's not realistic. It puts a lot of pressure
mm,
on life. And yeah, the now. And you're always it's Eckhart Tolle who says you're never not in the now.
mm,
It's because
right,
now it's now, and a second from now, it'll be the now. And we're just not present. We're not
mm,
aware of where it is in the now that we are because we're so
mm,
busy out everywhere else with our mind. We don't look at the sky, we don't smell the flowers, we don't really taste what we're eating. When we touch something, you don't really feel it. When you sit and have a conversation with somebody, you're on your phone, you're not making eye
mm,
contact, you're not active listening, you're actually anticipating what your answer is going to be once they're
mm,
finished instead of actively listening.
right. Wow, exactly. I love that you brought up active listening. Um, I don't know. This is something I've seen among so many people, right? When you're having a conversation with someone, they're always on their phone. I don't know if people can tell that that thing is, should I say a bad habit, or it's just very, it makes the other person feel like you're not listening to them. Because when you're trying to have a heart-to-heart conversation and then you're just looking in your phone, just scrolling, it makes the other person feel less seen. Right. Honestly, I've always wanted to talk about that. So to people listening out there, if you're having a really serious, even if your conversation is not too serious, right? Pay attention. You should listen fully and not, divert your attention by scrolling through your phone or doing something else while someone is talking. I've always wanted to say that actually.
And it's so
Right.
true. I mean, and I've been on both sides of this, okay? So
Mm,
I've embraced the technology in the early 2000s. So long before many other people were using smart devices. I had a phone that had a keyboard that attached, that had a camera that attached, that had all of these attachments so that I could be like mobile like we are now. And
right.
I would be, and it happens from time to time, even still, I have to remind myself that when someone is, I know that they're speaking specifically to me, and it's not, a very light thing, that holding space and being present for that is as much a gift to me as it is a gift to them. And there are times where if I've been in a conversation and somebody has gotten on their phone or they have asked me a question and walked away or disengaged or not really listened to the answer, I just stop talking.
Right. Exactly. Oh, okay. All right. you know, I understand the part of, stop talking because you automatically feel like they're not paying attention. So that harsh realization just, comes on and you be like, I think I should stop talking. This person isn't paying attention. And in most cases, it might be that they are, but not full attention. Right. So I feel like it's part of etiquette. Like you said, you've been on both sides, right? Personally, I've done
Mm.
that and I've also seen someone do it to me. So how I feel when they do it to me made me realize that, okay, I think this is something I need to, stop, right? And just work on myself. So I think it should be part of the etiquette, basically, actually.
But no, if you stop talking and they don't notice,
Mm.
you have your answer, right? They're
Right.
not missing what you're saying.
Mm.
So why continue, right? But
Right.
if you disengage and you stop, and if they're paying attention, even if it is on a little bit of a distracted level, they'll notice and they'll say something.
Mm.
So you can bring the engagement back.
Exactly. Right. Wow. Okay. So yes, that's a new perspective, and it's
Mm.
actually true. Actually, it's definitely the truth. So yes, thank you, JL. I would say this is, it's becoming a grounding conversation, right? So, I want us to, touch on the problem with more, right? So you spent years as a podcast host and visibility strategist, right? So at what point did you realize that more wasn't necessarily better?
Oh. I think this has been an overshadowing thing on many different levels, and the English
Mm,
language is very interesting. The word more means a lot in different ways.
right,
More things, more distractions, more content, more conversations, more time in front of the computer, more
right,
work. just more, more, more. And we don't have time to sit and breathe, be introspective, reflect, to actually get a sense of barometer on where are we, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, until unfortunately sometimes it's too late. And for me, I did the more, more, more. I was interviewing authors, I was having a great time, and I the next best thing seemed to be to go ahead and put them on a podcast platform because it was another way to distribute content. So more distribution, more work because we're doing podcasts. So, and then creating a podcast and distributing it for me there was a flow and an ease to it for me. It felt comfortable. So, since I'm doing it for me, I can create four more and host four more and just share different topics that I was having on different platforms. Instead of creating one, I multiplied. Then to top it off, I figured, oh, well, if I can do this for me, I can do this for other people. So here, let's be a podcast producer for other people. Let's be a visibility coach. Let's be an accountability coach. Let's be a personal branding coach. And it was like, just because I can do it doesn't mean I should. And more doesn't necessarily mean happiness. As a matter of fact, it made me feel extremely overwhelmed. I was forever on the computer editing, producing, interviewing, guesting, or coaching. And there was nothing outside of my computer. And so, more in that regard didn't do anything for me.
Mm. Wow. All right. Okay. So, you said basically everything you were doing revolved around your computer in the quest for more, right? You were basically just around your computer. And it makes me want to ask, right? As the internet made us more connected or more isolated?
So, the answer to that question is it depends.
Mm,
So, it's like anything else. The internet is like money. It's a tool. So to say that it has made us more connected or more isolated depends on the user.
mm,
So if I, in the sense of the example I had just given, had as the user overwhelmed and isolated myself from the outside world, like go outside and hug a tree, or breathe in some fresh air, look at the clouds, smell a flower, go for a walk with the dog, you know, a walk with a friend, sit by the river. I mean, it could go on and on and on. You get the point. I had more connection in front of the computer because I was working from home. That I didn't have to travel. I could meet more people. I had at least 5 conversations a week with somebody I did not know. And then I could have other conversations online on all of the different platforms. So it really depends on the user.
mm. Oh, okay, like you said, it depends really on the user, basically. All right, okay. So yes, I want us to also, touch on curiosity as a superpower, right? So, when it comes to meaningful conversations and stuff like that, why do you place so much emphasis on curiosity?
So I find if you come to a conversation with curiosity, like I have with this one, finding out about you before I actually get to talk to you, because there are those resources there. I was able to listen
Mhm.
to a podcast that you'd done. I understand what your podcast is for. I understand the audience and the topics that you're looking to have for, the embracing the messiness of early adulthood and finding clarity through real talks and shared experiences. So I get to be curious and come to the conversation openly and ask questions and be inquisitive instead of
Mm.
having my own agenda and having something that I need to be the result of this conversation. And I can let it organically be whatever it's going to be. And that allows for a lot, we don't have to worry about judgment. We don't
Mm.
have to worry about rules. We don't have to worry about being overly rehearsed or scripted. And we can be open to what you're really feeling in the moment when, for example, the question is asked. And those create real moments. They're real. They're not scripted. They're not rehearsed.
Wow. All right. Okay. So yes, thank you, Palma. And before I also came on the podcast, I did a little bit of research, and I found out that you've spoken with a fellow podcaster of mine that is also a friend, the host of Thought Atlas. So, few minutes before we got on the call, I was like, what was it like speaking with JL Palmer? He said, it was okay. It was okay. Just do you, or it will go well. I was like, okay, okay. So, yes.
Well, it makes me curious as to how do you know each other just from the podcasting community and Podmatch, or do you know each other outside of?
Oh yeah, we have a community of guests, right? Sorry, podcast hosts, right? So, we became friends of the community, right? So when I want to talk to a guest, I usually reach out to, ask, have you spoken with this guest? What was it like? Because, I feel like I learned from him. So
Yeah.
if he says, oh, this guest was amazing, I just go like, okay, it's amazing. So yeah, it all started with Podmatch basically.
Oh, that's wonderful. The other thing I wanted to mention is you've had some, I mean, you and the host of the Thought Atlas are both part of the top 10 most popular podcast hosts for May.
Wow.
And that's, yeah, I thought that was fascinating when I found that out. And I think you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I'm just
Mm.
grateful to be part of the conversations.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. And also, I would say, I feel privileged to be talking with you and so many guests that I've had on my podcast. They tell me, or should I say, I've always wanted to have real conversation. Even though I come with a script, I just like when you know, we have conversation that is just off the script, right? Actual conversation. It just makes it more enjoyable. That's the word, right? So I like that we're having conversation, real one of that, basically.
Well, and
So
that's the greatest part is that you can have some guidance written down, like you
right.
have your notes and you know what you kind of want to touch on. And if you don't have anything that naturally comes, you can turn back to bring you back around. And I think that both you and Blessed have done that very well with the
Mm,
episodes that I've been on and the ones I've listened to. So I hope you're enjoying it. That's the main part is, continue
mm,
to have absolutely wonderful conversations, but only if you're enjoying it.
right, exactly. Wow, personally, I would say I'm enjoying it. I would say I'm
Excellent.
learning. For me,
Oh,
it's a learning process. I bring in guests so I could learn, right? Just seek knowledge and so yeah, it's a learning thing for me basically.
Connie,
So
that's what we're here for. We're here to learn.
exactly. Right. So thank you, JL. And oof, before we get to my final question, I would actually love to talk about helping people in their 20s, right? Because it's like the sole purpose of my podcast, just giving clarity to young adults, basically. So one thing I've noticed is that many people in their 20s, they feel lonely. They feel so lonely despite being connected, like constantly connected online, right? So why do you think this happens, and what do you think would be the solution to this uprising loneliness, basically?
Well, I do feel like loneliness is part of an identity issue in the sense that we don't feel like our true selves are safe to share. So if I don't feel like I can go out and meet somebody and not put on some sort of facade,
Mm,
then I likely won't do it myself. Or people that do go out and pretend to be something they're not are not connecting with people, their tribe, authentically, because they're not letting themselves be known. So
mm,
part of being comfortable letting yourself be known is getting to know yourself. I think the cure for loneliness is getting to know ourselves, testing the waters with safe people, and sharing certain things to get a comfort level until you have the comfort level and you really can share it with anyone and it doesn't bother you at all. But we have this fear of judgment, and we have a fear we get embarrassed, we don't share our mistakes because we're going to be judged, or all kinds of things. And those hold us back from being our true selves. So I do think, and I'm doing this myself, and this is at a late stage, do it younger. But
mm,
I am also learning to share my mistakes, and I'm learning that I don't need to be perfect, and I'm learning about myself so that I actually, this life will go by so quickly.
mm,
And at the end of it, if I don't feel like I shared the actual human that I am with anybody, or at least a close few, my life will not have had the quality and the enjoyment that it could have. I don't want to be in a rocking chair late in life saying, oh, nobody ever got to know me. Well, nobody ever got to know me because I didn't get to know me and I couldn't share it with them. And that's why I was lonely.
wow. So it all starts from within, basically. Get to know yourself.
Yes. We have to.
Wow.
We can't, it's like we can't love anybody unless we love ourselves. We can't get to know anybody unless we get to know ourselves. How do you connect with another individual about something you don't even know whether you like it or not? You have to know you. Spend the time to get to know yourself.
Right. Okay. This one, I I literally have to write it down, right? Get to know yourself, right? Spend time with yourself. Because how could you give love when you don't have love? Basically, you do not love yourself. How can you love someone else? So it's by, getting to connect with yourself, know yourself, know what you like and what you don't like. That way, you can actually get to connect with people of like minds. Because how do you know these people are of like minds when you don't even know what your mind is like? So,
Ah, there she has it. There she has it.
right. So it's just about,
Beautiful. Beautiful.
self-discovery actually. So,
It's
wow. Okay.
the most important thing you can do. And on a regular basis. It's not a one-time thing. It's on the
Mm,
regular.
exactly. Wow. Okay. I think this would be my takeaway from our conversation because it's a really powerful one for me. It's something I'm going to have to, start imputing in my daily lives so as to become better. And I believe my listeners also would, learn from this beautiful conversation, I must say. And yes, finally. I would like to ask you, right? So, finally, how would you define success today?
Success is connection, community, and relationships, and that's the quality of them. And the curiosity lends to it, inquisition lends to it, but definitely, definitely knowing yourself
Mm,
is, yeah, those it's the key to all of them. And social health, they call it social health. We have several pillars of health, right? We
mm,
have mental health, physical health, financial health, social health, spiritual health, but social health has been overlooked.
mm,
And it turns out, as the research shows, our ability to have social connections, quality relationships, great conversations, and interactions with others is the key to increasing health in all of the other pillars.
mm. Wow, social health, right? I like that you mentioned social health, right? Because, and like you said, first of all, I would like to know why do you think it's important that why do you think social health is just as important as like the physical and the mental health?
It's more important. And it's more
Mm,
important because it contributes to every single one. Your physical health is, it's, if you feel like you are more social, you'll do more things physically. You'll go for walks with friends, you'll go to the gym. There's a social interaction in all of those, right? So the
mm,
social lens to all of them. Financial health, same. Because
wow.
if we have unhealthy relationships with money, chances are a lot of them relate to our social health. We're out there, we're spending money we shouldn't be to impress others. We're doing things that we wouldn't normally do, buying things we wouldn't normally buy to what? Impress other people? Because
Mm,
socially, we don't feel like we're in a good spot. So we want to do those things to lift us up in those imaginary. It's an imaginary lift up in those areas. So, and I could give examples for the other ones, but I haven't done the research. This is just what I'm learning. So, social health lends to all of them. Mental health, if you have close personal relationships, social health is a part of that. Your mental health is better. Okay.
wow. Okay, so I was thinking, right? There's social health, and then there's noise, right? Or should I say social gathering? So, how can one actually recognize or differentiate between having real connections? Because when we say social health, I want to believe it's having real connections with people, right? So, how can one differentiator having real connection rather than being surrounded by noise.
Mm. So, Yeah, this is, I'm not going to put this eloquently, but social health, you could feel it.
Mm,
And when things feel noisy, they don't feel like they have any connection, emotion, depth, any engagement in them. It's like people
mm,
talking just to talk, right?
mm,
Um, the social element, when you actually are with your people, again, back to knowing yourself so that you can attract people who you like to be with and like to do things with and like to have conversations with. If you're actually doing that, you will consciously avoid the noise because it doesn't add any value to your world. And you'll actually learn what does add value, and that's where you will put your time and your energy. So the noise it'll be there in the background, but because
mm,
of what you're doing for your social health, it won't be something you pay attention to.
mm. All right. So yes, thank you, JL. I think this has been deeply grounding, honestly. And like I said earlier, it's also really important, especially for young adults. All right, which brings me to the final segment of my podcast. I call it the rapid fire segment. So
Oh,
you could
yes, some of these. I'm curious what you got for me.
All right. Okay. So this one is, should I say, a bit simple, but let's just get right into it. And you know the rules. You could either answer with a word or a phrase starting now. So, what
Okay.
is one word your younger self would use to describe you?
Now, then me now,
Yes.
learning.
Hmm. Okay. What is the best conversation you've ever had?
Oh, I cannot even. I have had well, okay, I'm a parent, so it has to
Hmm.
relate to my child. And the context of the conversation is the details aren't important, but the fact that it was the truth and
Hmm.
that the individual did not feel like they needed to hide from me. It was open and honest. That was it.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, what is one thing people don't ask enough?
Why?
Hmm. Okay. All right. Okay. So, what is a quality you admire most in others?
In
In other people,
a quality I admire most in older people.
in other people.
Other, not older.
Yes, not
Okay.
older.
Honesty.
Okay. All right. So, what is something society needs more of?
That's a really, really big one. That's a really big one. Can we come back to that one?
Definitely. But the next one is similar, right? So, what is something society needs less of?
Oh, you know, society, stigmas, they need less of. We need more openness.
Mm, mm, Okay. More openness and less stigma. Right. Okay. And finally, what does curiosity mean in one sentence?
In one sentence. Mm. I just think that curiosity is the key to everything.
Hmm. All right. Okay. All right. So yes, I would say that was an amazing rapid fire segment. I mean, it was rapid. Most of my guests, it would almost look like we're starting a whole new conversation. But yeah, that was on theme actually. So yes, thank you, JL. And before you go, where can listeners get to, learn more about you and also connect with you?
Well, I am on Substack, and I don't know if a lot of people know what Substack is, but if you could connect there, it's jlpalmerconsulting.substack.com. And I also have a website that's under construction, and that's jlpalmergroup.com. And there's always the Get Curious podcast.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to put the link in the show notes so it's easily accessible for listeners. And yes, to my listeners, I would say thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as it did in me, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Once again, thank you, JL. And this has been amazing. And you have a wonderful day ahead of you.
Oh, thank you, Sekani. What a pleasure.
All right. So, yes, do take care.
And you as well.
All right.